Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look back at a very important Kentucky Derby prep race, the San Felipe at Santa Anita on March the 7th, a grade 2 going a mile and a 16th, a loaded field. They break out of the gate. The number 4 Authentic took a lot of money in this race, Mike. Little bobble at the start. You know what you're getting from Authentic. It's going to be speed. He recovers, he gathers himself. Drayden Van Dyke puts him right on the front, and that's it.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, he did a little bit of a lunge there at the start, but it didn't really phase him. He just went right to the top and there. He had no trouble making the lead in this race, Dan. And from here, I mean, they're just never going to be able to get to this horse. I think it's interesting, too. I think maybe the most important part of this race is just to watch the run up the backstretch, because even though Authentic is going pretty easy and he's on a big hold, he pretty much gets this whole field under rides on the backstretch here. It's not like he's tightening the pack up and taking advantage. He's getting everybody working hard behind him.
No, he's doing it very easily. Just watch the rider on Storm the Court, Joel Rosario. This is what Mike's talking about. He's already pushing the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner, a horse with good tactical speed. 1,000 Words, the Baffer-trained stablemate of Authentic, under a ride right now in behind horses. Honor AP making his first start since October. He's starting to get into this race, but Authentic is already extending. And from now, you know that Honor AP is going to fire, but it's a question of whether he can fire enough, because Authentic is just beginning to lengthen.
Yeah, there's a brief moment here as they come to the stretch where it looks like Honor AP really might make a race of this, and he's a really talented horse. But you know what, Dan? He has no chance to get to Authentic. Authentic gives him no chance to get into the race right there. Van Dyke set him down just a little bit, and it's not going to be close from here. Authentic dominates this race. A really impressive win for this horse, who just looks like he has, tons of talent for Baffert. And I'll give a little credit to Honor AP. He ran really well off the layoff.
And a big sigh of relief for Baffert, the connections, and the fans of this horse, and the bettors as well, because we saw what Authentic did in his most recent start, where he went to the lead, he was all alone in the stretch, and he just got as goofy as he could be and almost threw himself over the rail. Here he stayed straight and strong throughout on his right lead, very professional. This is a horse, I believe Baffert put earplugs on him just to try to keep the sound down, get him focused. He was much more professional today. This was a very impressive effort. A 98 Beyer speed figure. He is now a perfect 3.43. You look at this horse's running style. He likes to be forward. He likes to basically have his way early. Does that worry you in a race like the Derby? You know there are going to be other speed types. I know it's a long way to the Derby. This horse has to get through the Santa Anita Derby. But is there a concern going a mile and a quarter with a horse that's yet to prove that he really can rate a bit?
No, I mean, I don't think you worry about that stuff. I mean, obviously, if he lands in a Derby with a ton of other speed, he's going to have to find a way to adapt to it. But all in all, I'd rather have a horse who has his kind of natural speed than a horse who doesn't have any at all, Kentucky Derby or not. We'll see what happens if they throw some other speed at him and whether he can handle it. I think the takeaway from this race is he proved that he's really good, and it does sort of make it seem like the sham where he was sort of really goofing off in the stretch was just that. I think he had such a big lead that maybe he was just goofing off, because here, when he had to stay straight, he stayed straight.
$350,000 yearling by Into Mischief is Authentic. Let's talk about Honor AP. Again, this was his first start since October. He had some foot problems that compromised his training coming into this race. He made a good, solid run. You get a look at this horse. Not only is he talented, he really tried all the way down to the wire, and it's quite possible he wasn't completely cranked up for this race. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a rematch with Authentic in the Santa Anita Derby, and I know there are a lot of handicappers out there that believe that this horse will take a big step forward next time, second off the layoff.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very easy and logical position to take. He was off a long layoff here. He ran really well. I love his stride too, Dan. He has a really nice stride on him. And I thought it was interesting too that they didn't go aggressively with him in this race, because they could have. He broke fine. They did not go aggressively. They were happy off the pace and then try and make a run off the turn. And he made a good run off the turn. Too much for him on this day. That may not be the case next time.
Let's talk a little bit about Storm the Court, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner in closest attendance to Authentic early. Just could not quicken with that horse on the turn. Has he been exposed now? He had his comeback going 7 furlongs. It was a little short for him. You could easily give him that excuse. Off the layoff going 7. This was an incremental step forward, I think, in the Grade 2 San Felipe. He was close to the pace. He finished evenly. I wonder if he has that next forward move in him going third off the layoff. I'm assuming they will continue on. He deserves a chance in another two-turn major prep race. I'm just not sure if that improvement is there, even going third off the layoff.
I wonder as well, and he certainly had his chance at this race. They put him right up there with the winner on the lead, and he was no match. But he did take a small step forward, and here I think you got to go on with him, Dan. He ran fine. I mean, all in all, he landed in the tough of the three Derby preps on Saturday. He landed in the toughest one, and he was only third best.
The biggest head scratcher in this race was the performance of Thousand Words, who was a little bit cold on the tote early, got bet down to second choice, leaving the gate, and Thousand Words was in a very good spot. You saw him tracking the pace down inside, but he was empty from about the 3/8 pole to the wire, just never really fired. We had talked about this horse coming in. He was more gutsy and game than brilliant. What would he do when he was confronted with a horse that might be more naturally talented than he? Well, I think we saw that case here with Authentic and Honor AP. It was very disappointing that he finished 6 lengths behind Storm the Court. He just never fired at all.
Yeah, it was disappointing considering the trip that he got. I mean, it's disappointing mostly, Dan, because there's no excuse for him. He was in a good spot. When the race really picked up around the second turn, he could not go with these horses and was no factor in the stretch. He was clearly the most disappointing horse in the race.
Is this a race where you say he can't win the Derby off this race? You can't have a race like this on your page and all of a sudden turn it around. You really can't have any sort of hiccups from a training standpoint. Horse gets sick, horse misses a work, etc. Horse runs a dud like this and all of a sudden is going to come back and the light's going to turn on with one more prep before the big day.
It's going to make it hard for him. I don't want to say that he can't win it. It's going to make it hard, though, because it does sort of feel like he was exposed a little bit in this race.
The top 2 finishers, though, are very, very good. Authentic, brilliant speed for Baffert. He wins it. He's 3 for 3 in his career. Honor AP, a hard-trying second. We would expect to see more from him in his second off the layoff. A lot of excitement in Southern California right now on the road to the Kentucky Derby.